Alright, hello and welcome to my, I guess, instructional video on how a lawnmower gearbox works and what the issues were with this one, and I guess how to resolve it in the future. Now this lawnmower gearbox that we're looking at was manufactured by General Transmissions, which is a large lawnmower gearbox or small motor gearbox manufacturer. And this particular model is the MC600. I'm just trying to see if I can confirm a part number on this, and I cannot. I think I got the MC600 connotation from my parts diagram. This gearbox came off this Victa Commercial 21-inch. As you can see, the gearbox is there, and that's where it's tucked away. Now I picked this up. I've got another video on this coming soon, I suppose. Picked this up quite cheap. Self-propelled wasn't working, so I got into my diagnosis. Now, this is your drive pulley. It will have your belt attached to the base of the mower. This gearbox is a single-speed gearbox, but it can come attached to multi-speed lawnmowers, and I'll touch on that in a little bit. It came off this Victa 21-inch commercial, but it is the same gearbox that is on a number of mowers from Bush Ranger, from Mass Sport, quite a variety of lawnmower manufacturers don't manufacture gearboxes. I guess it's just cost prohibitive. And General Transmissions manufacture a lot. As I mentioned, this is your drive pulley that attaches to drive belt on the lawnmower drive shaft. And this right here is where your drive engagement cable will attach here, and you'd have a cable that runs, and it'd be this little spring would attach. Yeah, I'm sure that was it. Little spring would attach there. Anyway, and then this is your drive engagement. That much pull is your drive engagement, and when you feel like you're getting more pull than that, it is because you're getting pull off this spring. See this little raised section here? This attaches to a key inside the gearbox, which twists just that much, but that much twist is enough to compress, I believe, the cone clutch and engage drive. Now, this gearbox is a straight shaft gearbox. You'll see if I turn one half, you'll get the other half turning. And how that differs is, you'll see, this Toro gearbox. This is a Mulchmaster, and it has a variable speed gearbox, but I don't believe it has gears in there, but it does have a differential. As you can see, when I turn this one wheel, so my drive cog here is engaging the drive cog on the shaft, and as I turn it, we're not getting any turning of this cable here, like this side here. Then I'll swap and I'll do this side so you can better see. See, this wheel does not move at all. So there is a diff in there, so when you're turning this mower, you can turn these wheels in different directions. Whereas this straight shaft differs in that the actual drive pin on the end here that goes inside the wheel has enough play in it to spin, and I'll give you an example of that now. So I turn one side and the straight shaft turns both wheels, but I can independently turn those wheels backwards and forwards because the tiny little drive cog on here has enough play. That part I don't understand entirely how that works, but it works, so I don't care to investigate that further at this point in time. Now, when I got this mower, I wanted to see what the issue was, replaced the belts, didn't fix it, so got to removing the gearbox. The gearbox is held together by 8 Torx screws. They're T20 Torx screws. On the bottom, you'll see the bottom is metal, the top is plastic. I've seen videos of people tapping these and then installing a grease nipple, and that is, I recently bought a bunch of grease nipples. That's what I plan to do to my gearboxes going forward. Anyway, so on separating this gearbox, immediately like I saw an amount of gasket glue, and I figured that somebody else might have had a hatchet job of this before me. But on separating it, pulls apart, I immediately saw that this drive cog is completely shagged. That's just, well, there's no longer any teeth there for the spline drive to engage, so that was why my drive wasn't engaging, it wasn't working at all. So as we'll see from the inside here, so I'll sort of try to hold this so you can see, so my drive pulley, as your drive pulley spins, you're spinning this spline drive here, and the spline drive would engage teeth on this drive cog here. This is the key that engaged with this piece here that turned. So as the key turns, what happens is this whole, I can't do it manually because I don't have the force, but if I had some, maybe get some pliers. Alright, got some pliers, we'll attach them to the top. We'll see if I can get enough twist on this to compress it. No, doing something wrong, or I'm too weak. Anyway, basically the cone gets crushed, or maybe that's what's munted about this. Oh, that's probably maybe what's cooked. So here it is, free spinning, and then just even the slightest amount of pressure on this piece here, which is what would be applied by the key. Now we no longer get a free spin, so that would mean drive is engaged. But now drive is not engaged, there's very little pressure there. So thankfully not too weak, just cooked a gearbox. Anyway, so that was me troubleshooting done. Gearbox was cooked. Not a lot I could do about it to fix it. I'm not bothering to replace it. New gearbox was, I think, $200. So all in all, I got like a $1,700 self-propelled mower or so for $300 to buy it, 250 in parts, let's say. On inspecting the inside of the gearbox, though, there was interesting, like bubbling in here, which I would say is consistent with like heat damage. So I'm wondering if something happened that cooked it. When I did crack this open, there wasn't a lot of oil in here. I know they're sealed, you're not supposed to oil them, but there wasn't a lot in there. And the bloke that I've seen that taps them and puts a grease nipple in, and just puts in high temp engine grease, and I can see the logic in doing that. Now I'm going to crack this whole thing out so I can get a better look at it. Look at all that shit, sludge and shit. Who knows? Cooked a drive shaft. Yeah, free spinning, bite. Anyway, let's see if I can translate that to a gearbox in play. Now, just bring my phone so I can double check I'm looking at something. Yeah. Alright. So in here you can see where the gearbox attaches. Now, that's where the spring went underneath it, so that just in there is my drive engagement. And when I was to engage drive, I'd pull this forward and drive would be engaged. And now it's not disengaging because the handlebars are folded. And then I would get drive in both the wheels. Anyway, what I'll do now is transition from this lawnmower to the Tiemaster. Alright, welcome back. This is just a little video I'm putting together to put into my other video because I realised yesterday when I was splitting this I got distracted and didn't split it entirely. So I'm going to have another quick look at the sludge in the bottom of this gearbox. And I don't know if it's possible to see there, but in that sludge there are, I'm going to look almost like fingernail clippings, but it's the with the ridges of the spline drive that's been sheared off, or the ridges of this cog that's been sheared off by the spline drive. You can see in there that it's a little bit still there. Anyway, and the pulley on the top, didn't touch this, but this is just attached with a pin. I've punched the pin out because I was helping somebody else with another issue, just to show them how it was done. As you can see, the pulley can just be removed. Now, the pulley on the mulchmaster looks slightly larger than this, so imagine if you found another gearbox, you'd be able to swap out the pulley and create yourself a slightly, or get a larger pulley, get yourself a bit more speed out of the unit. Now the spline drive attached by 2 bearings. That's a bearing in there, isn't it? Or just a dust seal? No, a bearing. No, dust seal. So dust seal, and then bearing at the top and then a bearing at the bottom to ensure that this thing doesn't move. This bearing is full of grit, and as I twist it, I can see bits of plastic are falling out, so it's consumed some of the cog inside the bearing itself. We'll get to how this separates. Now, I believe I can just slide that off. So basically just a plastic bushing and a dust seal is all the gearbox sits on, and then that's allowed the bearing to move. Oh, can I pull that over the rusty bit? No. Let's try the other side bit. Other side slides off. Yeah, what's falling apart here? It doesn't want to come over the rust. Brilliant. Anyway, let's see how the 2 pins have fallen out. That's why the cogs are now moving. And that's the gearbox, yeah. I guess in a nutshell. 3 separate pieces. Am I getting anywhere with that? Maybe not. Brute force. Bearing's not even ruined. This one is. Pardon me, a little bit. Anyway, here we have our components. Of clutch. Exceptionally straightforward, really. Hard to see, but see these two cogs are ever so slightly tapered. I don't know if I can get a good shot at that. In and out, so I guess they stayed separate just enough. And then when they were crushed by the key, pushed in, and pushed this in just enough, enough to engage the drive, and then that would have always stayed in there. Now they pushed in just enough to, yeah, that makes sense, bite this piece. So that's what they're slightly ridged for. Right. Yeah, butterfingers. Yeah, so they sat just outside, and this had enough. I can't do it because they're keyed, and with no pressure at all, they're spun. The cog was allowed to free spin just above it. Yes, so it's sitting on the guide, and that would have been the case for both sides. I can't do it now because I'm applying just enough pressure, but yes, once just a smidge of pressure was applied, they crushed together just enough for the metal to bind with the metal of the tooth here. This sat inside there and spun. So basically, the takeaway is that this always spun. This spun 100% of the time, and it was only when these cogs were crushed in that the two pins here bit the drive shaft and actually turned the drive shaft, and that would be why this gearbox died, because as I show at the end of the video, with this always having a slight amount of pressure applied, there was always a fraction of resistance, and this spline drive has just completely eaten this plastic gear, or plastic cog, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, I just want to do even further disassembly video of this. I'll show you the parts that make up. Yeah, so it's just a plastic bushing with a pressed in rubber seal, another pressed in rubber seal. Yeah, to stop the gearbox leaking, because they were the seals at the end here. And you can see they did a reasonably fine job. You can see exactly where the colour changes on this bit of rod, going from exposed and corroded steel to shiny steel. Same on the ends here where the wheels and dust caps attached. Anyway, there it is, just a more in-depth tear down of the gearbox that I'm going to just slap in the middle of my current video, so apologies for it looking a bit disjointed. Alright, so I've pulled out my mulchmaster. Now the mulchmaster, manufactured by Victa, one of the best lawnmowers ever made, self-propelled utility, and one of the only self-propelled utilities that are available that, I mean, doubles as like a mulching finishing mower. I can't speak more highly of this machine. It's a shame that Victa don't do better at promoting it, don't do better at selling it. I don't know, don't do a better job. It is just well built, chassis, spectacular, wheels, up to the job, controls, up to the job. But anyway, I don't make bloody kiss-assing. The gearbox in this is another MC600, same gearbox. There is a difference though. They have a different drive pulley, I guess heavier duties, less plastic, and a sort of, looks like it's a metal guide for the pulley, which is nice. And then what they do have is a longer belt, and then these two additional drive pulleys here. Now up here is our drive lever, and as I loosen it, that would be speed down, and then as I tighten it, you'll see the drive cable engage pulls these tighter, and that's walking speed increased. And so how they get variable speed out of this is by changing the length of the belt a smidge, so that whilst the belt is spinning the same, or the RPM of the lawnmower stays the same, it turns the pulley and runs the gearbox faster or slower depending on how taut or how loose the belt is. As you can see, there's loads of play there. Tight, no play. But anyway, they've found a quite ingenious way to get variable speeds out of a single gearbox. Obviously this is mulch and side discharge only, so there's no chute, so there was nothing stopping them just slapping this sort of setup on top of the chassis here. It's a shame that the 21-inch commercial doesn't have variable speeds, but it's not the end of the world. And at the same time, like, don't really need variable speed for the mulchmaster. Like, generally, if you're mowing something awful, you're not going fast. Anyway, this is all generally under a dust cap, so I'm only just finding out that I've got like a frog home there. There's pooled water getting in under the dust cover, and belt. It's not bad because it's a 2-year-old belt, but it's just starting to give up. Anyway, that's a quick look at how you get, I mean, I suppose like when it's running, the belt, the throw of the belt tightens that up a little bit. But yeah, and then sped up, belt tight. And I've just sort of realised that maybe I should probably, when this is not in use, have the lever disengaged so that the belt doesn't kink, or should it be tight when it's not in use? Because yeah, if it's stored like that for a long time, I'm definitely going to get like 2 elbows. So anyway, problems for another day. Replace the belt, work it out later. Anyway, I think that is it. Oh, I suppose I could just lift this up a fraction. Show you that this one works the same. So both wheels drive single speed shaft, and then they spin independently. But yeah, there is more tension on these than that other one. And that one I replaced, so I probably did something wrong, and that is why the drive is a little bit weaker on that one. But problem for another day again. Anyway, just to wrap up my video of the busted gearbox, after I replaced the gearbox, the thing was still not working properly, and I found that drive was constantly engaged. And I wondered if perhaps that's how the drive got so shafted. Is old mate who had it before me didn't know how to fix it and just kept using it, and it just kept chewing away at the gearbox. And after a lot of mucking around, I still could not work out what my issue was. But eventually I found that if I disconnected the drive cable, the issue stopped. So the cable was perhaps the wrong cable installed from the factory, or installed somewhere somehow incorrectly. But by just adding a D-bolt, and this is not my final solution, but the addition of this D-bolt extended the cable, well, that is an inch, 2.5 centimeters thereabouts, and released tension. Then all of a sudden, problem solved. But still engages just fine. Obviously it might fall off, but right now the tension on the cable is too much for it to sort of just fall off. But yeah, problem solved. So Cable adjustment is definitely an issue. I don't think before I did all this I definitely engaged, so changed the adjustment here up and down. There's no engagement further down there at the body, so this is your only adjustment point. But yeah, removing it entirely from the drive bale fixed the issue. So new gearbox, running commercial mower, all for a relatively easy fix.